badge. I'm Sergeant Alan Sayre with Oconee County Sheriff's Office Community Services Unit. Today our special guest is Lieutenant Shadae Cobb with the Oconee County Sheriff's Office Detention Center. Shadae, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, you worked at the detention center.
Yes.
How long now?
August of this year will make 12 years.
12 years. That's a long time to be in jail, isn't it?
It's a long time.
But at least you get to come and go.
Right. I go home at night.
That's a very nice thing. So what do you do at the detention center?
I'm the lieutenant over operations and security. So basically I make sure the jail is functioning correctly. I make sure it's staffed, make sure the inmates are being taken care of, make sure that there's officers on each post, just making sure the day-to-day activities of the jail is functioning correctly.
So you're, is it fair to say you're the supervisor over the jail?
Well, I'm the main supervisor, but we have 4 different shifts, so that means that each shift has 1 to 3 supervisors for every shift. So I'm the main person of contact whenever they need something.
So how long have you been lieutenant?
I've been lieutenant since 2020, so about 4 years.
Awesome. And what did you do before that?
Before that, I've done several different things. I started in 2012. I was just a regular CO then. I went to the academy, graduated, and became a CO2. So I worked on the floor throughout the jail. And this was in the old jail, so we're now in a new jail. So I was just a regular CO. When we moved into the new jail, I received a promotion to be the visitation officer. So I handled all visitations. From there, I went to classification, so I was over classifying the inmates wherever they needed to be housed when they came in. And then from classification, I became a lieutenant.
So what did you do before you got into detention work?
Well, I was working at a plant before then, which wasn't very long. So I worked in a plant for a while after I graduated high school.
So are you from this area?
I am. I'm from Seneca.
Awesome. And how did you go from working in a plant to working in a jail? I mean, I guess there's some similarities. Right. You're kind of stuck there for 12 hours, but how did you get from working to a plant to being a detention officer? Right.
So growing up, I knew that I wanted to be in law enforcement. I have family in law enforcement, so that was always an interest of mine. And in high school, I said that I would, want to go to school and possibly become a probation officer. I never thought about jail or detention or anything like that. I actually ran into a friend of mine's mom at the hair salon. And she was like, well, have you ever thought about the jail or detention? I was like, no. And she said, well, we're hiring, put in your application and kind of see where it goes. So I went home, I thought about it, I talked to my parents about it. And so I went ahead and applied. I had my interview. I had a walkthrough of the old jail, and I just felt like I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I went forward, and they hired me.
So your parents are a big supporter of this?
Right, yes, sir.
And you said you had family that was in law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
What, as a road deputy or CO?
I have a cousin who's an SRO, another cousin who's actually the chief of Anderson. And then I have an uncle who is actually with Highway Patrol, and he just retired.
Now, I'm sure they've told you a lot of fun stories and stuff that got you excited. Do you have any fun stories that they shared that kind of sparked your interest?
Yeah, at this time I don't really recall any. I thought it was cool that they would show up to family events sometimes with their work uniform on because they had to go to work when they left, or it was just something that I enjoyed seeing them come to family gatherings or just talk about when I was younger, and I felt like I knew that's something that I would want to do when I got older.
So you have a lot of family support.
Yes, sir.
So is it hard for you as working in the detention, folks, and you being from this area? I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen other people that you grew up with or friends of some. Right. As being a CO, how do you deal with, now you're in charge of dealing with the inmates that maybe you grew up with or that you knew? How do you deal with that?
I think there's a level of respect there. When some of the people come in that I maybe went to school with, grew up with, one, it's a respect thing first. And then 2, I don't treat them any differently than anybody else, but also show them that respect while they're here and help them how I can during their stay here within the guidelines of my job. And so usually, they respect that I work here. They're very cordial, and I think it helps them to see a familiar face when they do come in. So that's usually how I deal with it.
And obviously you're not there as their friend or anything, but I'm sure that folks that come in, I'm sure they look up to you for certain things. And are you able to serve like kind of as a mentor to them during their stay?
Right. I go and speak with them and kind of see what's going on, make them feel a little more comfortable, even though it is jail.
Right.
And talk to them and try and help them understand the process that they'll go through while their time, with their time here. They may have, family call up and, need to know, if they've seen the judge, if they've got a bond, what's the process, and I try and help with that.
As lieutenant at the jail, what kind of do you do to help your other employees out as far as guiding them, preparing them to be a success just like you are?
Right. So with the officers, I feel like we have a personal relationship. So they know they can come to me at any time, and we'll sit down and talk about things, whether they're, they don't know something, whether they need more training, whether they, need me to be there right beside them to do certain tasks. I try my best to still be present in the jail, whether it be in booking or, going down the hall and engaging with the inmates or helping them with daily tasks. I just make myself available to them. I think that speaks a lot to help them get through the day-to-day struggles of the jail. I know how it was when I worked the floor, and that extra help is always appreciated.
So a lot of people say that law enforcement is like its own family. We're obviously not blood family in this line of work, but it's like a second family. And it sounds like from what you're saying, you're treating all of your other coworkers just like little brothers and sisters.
Right. I feel like I have a good relationship with most of the officers that work on each shift.
That's good. So that when they're dealing with stressful stuff, they know they've got Shadae that they can come to if they need help.
Right.
For all of our viewers out there, if they want to come up to the detention center to visit with somebody, or if they have any questions, who do they need to call, or how would they go about finding out, if they've got questions about visitation or putting money on the books for an inmate? Where can they go to find more information?
They can go to the sheriff's office website. There's a option for the detention, and once they click on that, it will walk them through, visitation, how to send mail to the inmates, how to send money for commissary. There's links on there, so it describes everything and gives them all the links that they need to do those things.
That's definitely going to be helpful for folks out there, so we greatly appreciate it. That wraps it up for this edition of Behind the Badge. Our special guest today was Lieutenant Shadae Cobb of the Detention Center. Shadae, we want to thank you so much for being here. Make sure to tune in next time for our Behind the Badge. Also, make sure to click subscribe below this video and click like so that you see the rest of our content and others can see it. Thank you for joining us.